The Duels Miami. Don't worry, no spoilers in this video. So comments below. Make sure you don't spoil it for anybody who hasn't seen it yet. This video is purely about the good, the bad, and the ugly from the Duels at Miami, LIV Golf. And we're going to get into it. And I want your thoughts. Okay, just right out the gate, the ugly I'm going to leave for you. Leave those in the comments below, what you just thought was a disaster. And they're going to read it, okay? The powers that be will check those out. So I'm not going to necessarily say what the ugly is. I'm going to say what is good and what, let's say, the bad would be what needs to be improved, in my opinion. Okay, so let's just jump into it, the good. Here's what I love. First off, congratulations, editing team. You guys got it together. I was 50-50 that we'd be at 9 a.m. Eastern. Rock and roll, right on time. Congratulations. So that was good that it was out, that you made it, right? Sometimes it's just good to get it out there versus being perfect. So you got it out there. I loved it. I also loved that it was fast-paced. Like the editing, it moved, right? It moved along. I'm just touching my notes here in case you're like, what is he touching? It moved along. It was rocking. I love the fast-paced style of it. It was very YouTube-y. It wasn't long and drawn out like a 4.5-hour live broadcast of 9 holes of golf. That's painful. So great job. I like that. I absolutely loved the combo. It was a combination style of YouTube golf combined with the broadcast television version of live golf. What I mean by that is this. The shot tracers were from the broadcast. You could see the cameras behind the player, and they would show the tracer, and they had the little TrackMan tracer on those cameras. That was all from the LIV Golf broadcast team. They did that, and they could do that live, which is cool, right? I thought, now this is where I kind of was like, well, what took so long with the editing? I mean, obviously there was many cameras and stuff to put together. So I thought they were doing shot tracers, which was taking the massive amount of time, but that's not the case. The shot tracers were easy because they were done with the LIV broadcast. So I liked that. You didn't necessarily have the YouTube style shot tracers, but again, that takes a lot more time. So I liked the combo of the broadcast version and the YouTube style. Love that. Okay. What else did I like? What did I say here? I said, okay. I liked that Bob in the cart was my note. Bob does sports in the cart. I thought he was good. I thought Bob was good in the cart. I like that. I'm not going to get too deep into that. I'll get more into the commentating in a minute, but I felt like Bob does sports was pretty good. All right. I loved how engaging a lot of the creators were. The creators are engaging. The pros aren't necessarily in that world. Phil Mickelson's really good, and he's real engaging. Bubba Watson's super engaging. That was great. Waco Neiman was really good. So DJ's pretty chill. So it takes the right guy to pull it out of him. And there was a moment that Wesley got it a little bit out of him that we normally don't get. So there was moments of DJ. And Cam Smith is pretty chill. He's not the most, like, he just doesn't do that stuff. So he was cool to watch because I'm a big Cam Smith fan. But for the most part, it was engaging. Star power, creators with the pros. That was great. This was the first time we saw creators and professional tour players engaging together. Wesley doesn't really count. Like, okay, he's more of a creator than he is a tour player, but not like a top tier tour player. No offense, but you're not like Phil Mickelson, Bubba Watson. Like, you're not a major championship winner. But so when I'm saying top tier would be like a John Rahm, Bryson DeChambeau, like those guys, right? You're a top tier creator. And so you're with a tour player. That's perfect combination. It was the first time it was done. I loved that, the dynamic, the energy, the vibe. it was a perfect kind of combination of the two. They did it, and I thought it worked really, really well. Okay. The chit chat between Phil and Grant, phenomenal. But they have a lot of practice. They do their 2v2 series. Phil does a lot of stuff on YouTube. So that was really, really good to hear those two do their thing. That was good. Fat Perez, he's always fun to listen to, and he had some moments there where he's talking and doing his Fat Perez thing. And so I felt like, hey, he's fun, right? He's a fun guy. It's hard to watch Fat Perez and be like, not like it, because it's just entertaining. So that was really, really good. And what this was a good, but I felt like it could have been gooder if there was one more day of editing. I felt like it needed one more day. It was good, but it could have been a little bit more done, which now that leads us into the bad or the needs improvement. And if there's more good that you like, please, please, please put that in the comments below, because I like reading your comments personally, but I know the people over at LIV and the other tours, they read those too, and they want to know what is good. Because it's like what LIV did was they watched the Creator Classics and the other stuff, and the feedback and comments that we made and you guys made, it's like they read all those and then try to implement them into this event, the duels. So keep it coming. They love to do that. And I appreciate you guys, and even LIV, I appreciate the fact that it appeared as though they took that and ran with it. So keep it coming, because they keep getting better. All right. So I was constantly asked, hey, do you like this Duels better or the Creator Classic version? Which one do you like better? And I definitely liked the speed of this. I'm not committed for 4.5 hours for 9 holes. Like, that's tough. So the fast pace of it, the time commitment, much better, under 2 hours versus 4.5. So that I love. All right. Now the bad, or in my opinion, what needs to be improved moving forward. And again, your comments are very, very much appreciated here. Here's my notes as I watched the entire thing. All right. The announcers. All right. We had Bob DeSports, Joey Coldcuts, Busta Jack, Andrew, comedian guy. Okay. We had announcers, but I wouldn't say they were announcers because nobody announced what was happening. So I felt a little disconnection there. I never quite knew what anything was for. Like, I had to figure it out on my own. Like, wait, what shot is he hitting? How far does he have? What iron is he hitting? What's going to happen? I think I always said we don't need announcers. Would be good. And it wasn't announcers. Like, even Bob DeSports said we're the worst announcers. Well, you weren't an announcer. You were just a dude in a cart creating like a little bit of color commentary, but you weren't really commentarying on the golf. You were more just kind of being who you are. And so that we needed something to fill in the gaps. That's what it felt like. Coming from, well, I'll get to in a second because there's more with that as we go, which is like what I think we should have needed. Another thing I thought needs improvement was, and it might have been the rush to get this out. Maybe this is the reason this happened, but there were a lot of these music style montages that played. And I was like, wait, usually in the television film world, if there's a music montage, it's either taking you somewhere or it's filling in space of something. It's leading you to another thing, or there's a specific moment for it. Like, think about any movie. If there's like a Rocky movie, right? And there's this music montage, like he's training for a fight. So there's a little storyline of him training. Like, oh, I'm doing all this training to prepare to lead to somewhere. And then you hear the ding, ding, ding. And then here we go. It's fight day or the day before, and there's something that happens. We had these music moments, but it didn't go anywhere. And then you had these music moments where the cart guys were announcing or commentating on something and you couldn't hear because the music was not mixed properly. So that was hard. Maybe that was because it was a rush to get it out there. Who knows? Those need some work. So I wasn't a fan of those. Let me know your thoughts. Which leads us to this. It was just hard to follow the action without anybody to fill in the gaps. There were a lot of dead moments, blank moments, moments of just, I felt like I was just watching shot after shot after shot after shot, and I just was like, these are just random golf shots. I don't even know what they're for. I don't know what hole you're on. I don't know what yardage you have. I don't know what club you're hitting. I don't know anything. I don't know the score. Well, hold on. I'm looking at the score, trying to sync it up with the golfer who's hitting. I was kind of lost in translation a little bit while I was trying to follow along. All right. So I think that was a little difficult for me. Here's a little nitpicky thing on my end that I thought could have used a little bit of improvement. The cart cams, they were not positioned in the best location. They were a little too high. So it was like this, watching people the whole time. You couldn't see them. So if they were just lowered so you could see them, that would have been way better for me. I know that's nitpicky, but it's a simple little adjustment. And the carts have the winds. I don't know. They have the just low. All right. Am I wrong there? You let me know. I felt like they were a little too high. I felt like you want to be a fly on the wall, but I want to be just a little bit lower fly on the wall, not so high up. Just, but you tell me if that's a little too nitpicky, but that's what I thought. Another thing, I felt like there were too many people around. There were a lot of people following them, which you might think, who cares? They could have galleries in there and da-da-da-da-da, which the Creator Classic had a gallery. This is true. Here's the deal. They were shooting this and then editing it and like a YouTube video. So when you get all the YouTubers, all right, and you don't have real announcers, right? You just have commentator. I'm not going to call them announcers because they didn't announce. But so you don't have any of that. What happens is the creators get more quiet and they don't engage as much as they do on a typical YouTube video where they're just with themselves, the camera guys that they know, and the people they're collaborating with. So they're a lot more engaging. And so when you get people around, fans, they're a lot less engaging. They kind of sink into that, oh, I'm playing golf mode and I'm trying to focus, like tournament mode. So it's a little different. It takes them out of their element a little bit, which makes it different than what we're used to. So I felt like there were too many people around to make them comfortable with what they typically do. All right, moving on. You tell me if I'm wrong. That's fine. This is what I felt. Also all right, there were no storylines in this, right? So think about when the Bryan Bros did the $100,000 skins game. There was a constant storyline of skin, each hole, we're winning. Now, here we know they're going for money, but we don't really find out how much money first place gets until really the very end, $150,000 to the winner. And then they didn't tell us anything else. We don't know what they're playing for. We don't know what they win. Do they get a trophy? Do they get a check? Do they get a whatever? We don't find that out till the very end. So there's really no storyline. That's what announcers who actually announce, they help brushstroke that in throughout the broadcast of, hey, they need this for that. This shot is for this. They're trying to get within one. They fill in the storyline, and any video that's any good has a storyline, has a story arc. Even the PGA Tour event, the Masters, the major championships, whatever it is, even YouTube videos, there's a story arc. And so this has it, but it was kind of not complete. It wasn't put together because nobody was able to tie it in. So no storylines. then that leads us to, you need drama with the leaderboard. That's where they just need to say what's going on. So you're constantly re-engaged with the leaderboard, which is the storyline, which is that story arc. All right. A nitpicky thing, there really wasn't much player introductions. That would have been cool. That's just a little something you can add, like little interstitial pieces that you can sprinkle in there. I felt like that would have been cool to see. Not a big deal, but given the other stuff that was missing, I felt like I really don't get any backstory of the player. And just a little interview, a little something, a little sprinkling of pieces throughout it would have been really cool. That's neither here nor there. You can always add that later on in the future if you feel like it would add a lot. Okay, yeah, and we already talked about this. It felt like there were a lot of random golf shots with no structure to it. Just like shot, 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 shot. You got to connect that. There needs to be a little more continuity, a little more structure to the broadcast. And then there were some really good shots that it hit the flag or they went in, or like really dramatic shots. And we missed the engagement with the player and the creator. It kind of cut away to something else. So I just felt like that was a great opportunity to do what you would do in a YouTube video, but maybe that was, hey, we need more editing time or something. So that's what I felt like it was missing, that. Like we just cut away. And there were a few other little editorial things where you hear somebody talking about their shot, their current shots, but you cut away to somebody else's tee shot. It was strange. You hear audio in the background. Again, that could have just been them rushing to print, so to speak. So I think that's something that could have been worked on. It's still a little bit all over the place, but again, another iteration of the creator and the professionals, or the creators playing in these professional events. It was good. It certainly was far from perfect. Okay, and all right. I would have loved to have seen this, and I've worked for a number of producers and directors. This is what it needed. It needed a director. All the PGA Tour broadcasts, all the LIV broadcasts, they have a director, somebody who's somewhere putting it all together. And some of them have, the PGA Tour they have had amazing directors that are just, you have 100 cameras running and they're picking doom, 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 doom. So here that it's pre-shot, I don't know who was in charge of kind of the final printed, go to broadcast version of this, but it definitely felt like, man, you need a pro producer director who has a vast amount of experience with this to really paint the storyline, because that really takes it to the whole nother level. So, there's another little nitpicky thing. Two more things. The pros had their caddies, and here's the problem with that. It might think, oh, that's not a big deal. No, there was moments in there where I picked up on it. The pros hit a shot, then they turn to their caddy and they're talking to them and they're reacting to their caddy like, oh, that was this, and you're like, you don't want that. You want them to interact with the creator or the camera. That's really what it is. But the thing is, their caddies there, that's the person they're most comfortable with because they spend the most time with. So when they interact with their caddy all the time, and that caddy's there, that's where they're going to default to. And they can't do that. They got to go to the camera or the creator, and the camera guy got to pick that up. So maybe that's something to work on in the future, or the camera guy needs to get in the pro's face. Boom, you're right there. The camera guys need trained to know that, hey, you got to intercept him from going to the caddy because we need it. The caddy doesn't need it. It's part of the show because this is a show. So the last thing I felt like needs a little bit of work is if there's a producer, if there's a director, I've worked for a number of directors and producers, and we sit there and we're editing, and they're like, okay, it's missing something. They know it. We got to hurry. What is it missing? Well, there were all those random music montages and gaps where we didn't know what was going on. Any director I would have been with was say, all right, we need some voiceover announcer to fill in these spaces. And they would have called up Bob to Sports. Hey, get in here. We're going to do some voiceover and we're going to put that in. We need somebody to fill in those spaces. And I would have called that guy in at the last second and said, get over here. We're going to have you read and give us some up to date. I would have parked that guy in a cart outside. I would have been driving around in a cart with a microphone saying, here are the things to say. And we would have just recorded him so it would have sounded like he was on the course. I don't care if we're driving around in the middle of the night. I would have made it sound like it was happening in the moment, and I would have put his voice throughout it, carrying it through so that we could have tied the storyline together, just giving us those pieces that we didn't have. And I wouldn't care if we had to do it at 2 a.m. That's what I would have done. All in all, look, I hope you pick up on the fact I thought it was great. I think it's a win. It's a win for the creators. It's a bigger win for LIV Golf. It's a bigger win for just professional golf in general. I think LIV got a ton out of this. I think it's going to boost their brand. I think they get a lot of love for the fact that they did this in this way. And I think you're going to see more and more, not only from LIV, I believe the PGA Tour will do even more. And this will be kind of a common practice week to week, event to event. Depends on, I guess a lot of factors involved, but I think it'll keep getting better. It will keep improving. And I think it's here to stay for a long time. But leave your thoughts, comments below. I loved it. And it keeps growing and getting better. Let me know what you think. Peace.